Now we're ready for Lecture 6, Presentation 2. The anatomical correlates of activity behavior involve eye size as a percentage of skull length. Nocturnal primates have large eyes for skull length, about 30% of skull length. And for diurnal primates, day living, they have small eyes for skull length, less than 30%. It's a very simple relationship to quantify. You just obtain the maximum eye orbit width on one eye, and then you obtain the maximum skull length from just above the central incisors to the back of the skull. Then you figure out the percentage of eye size to skull length. So let's try this out with tarsiers. Now remember, tarsiers are known to be nocturnal. And if you take the eye orbit width, which I did on one eye from here to here, you get a measurement of 17.3 millimeters. Remember, these are very small animals. And then if you take the maximum length of the skull itself, what you get is 38.8 millimeters. So you do the mathematics and you discover that the eye is nearly half of skull length, 44.6%, and that is associated with being nocturnal. So let's take a look at a day-living primate. And this time what I did was I measured out a macaque. So I took the eye orbit width, 24 millimeters, this is a much larger animal, and I took the maximum length of its skull, 130 millimeters, and I did the calculations. The eye is small for skull length, about 18%, and this nicely accompanies being diurnal, and we know these primates are diurnal. So now what you do once you get that sort of measurement is you take primates with known behavioral adaptations, you measure out the eye orbit on skull length, and you plot it on a graph. So we have eye orbit width going in one direction, and let me use a broader thing here. So eye orbit width up this way, on skull length going down this way. And anything that is above this line of regression right here is nocturnal, and anything below it is diurnal. All right, so what does this mean to us? Well, primates with large eyes for skull length, a group above the line of regression, all are known to be nocturnal. And primates with small eyes for skull length group below the line of regression, all are known to be diurnal. There is one curiosity. The owl monkey seems to be an exception. It does not fit into either pattern. Look at it. It's right there on the line of regression, neither in the large group or the small group. Well, there's something odd about owl monkeys. They descended from diurnal ancestors. There are no other nocturnal primates in tropical America. Owl monkeys filled a vacant niche, and natural selection appears to favor increasing eye size. If this goes on for long enough, eventually the owl monkeys should move in to the nocturnal group above the line of regression. No other primate has a result like this. The anatomical correlates of activity adaptation form the basis of our interpretation of activity adaptations in extinct primates 55 million years ago. So we'll be taking a look at Adapus and necrolemur. So eye width in Adapus is 20% of skull length, likely nocturnal, and here is their eye region right here where I took the picture or took the measurement. And then the necrolemur eye width is about 40% of skull length. They were likely diurnal. And you can see that the eye orbit in Adapus is small for skull length, and in necrolemur it is large for skull length, 40%. Based on the anatomical correlates of activity adaptation, by 55 million years ago, primates were filling distinct activity niches. This means that primate activity niche partitioning has been an important part of primate evolutionary history and experience. So what about color vision? Why isn't that listed as a primate trait? Well, it's not exclusive to primates. Numerous non-primate animals have color vision. Most terrestrial mammals, insects, reptiles, amphibians, and birds. I mean, after all, what would be the point of a peacock's coloration if a peahen couldn't perceive that color? And also, there is variation in how primate color vision is achieved and expressed. Many mammals described as colorblind can see in color. This is one of those things that makes me a little crazy. Dogs, for example, have color acuity in the green-blue spectrum. The dog color sensitivity range is not as broad as that of their human companions, but color sensitivity is present. So they don't perceive the reds like we do. However, they're sensitive to green, gold, blue. This explains why many dogs prefer their blue toy, their blue blanket, their blue bowl. They perceive true blue color. And there are only a very few terrestrial mammals that are truly colorblind, monochromatic. That means insensitive to all color. They see gray, black, white. Most terrestrial mammals are dichromatic, just like dogs. They're sensitive to two colors, the green-blue hues. Relatively few terrestrial mammals are trichromatic, sensitive to three colors, red, green, and blue. Color sensitivity is determined by the ratio of two types of photoreceptor cells that are on the retina. Rod cells receive low light and allow vision in dim light. Cone cells receive high energy wavelengths. Cone cell types include red, green, and blue. Most mammals lack the red cone cells. Strepsirrhine primate vision. Regardless of activity pattern, all strepsirrhines have a tapetum lucidum. Their retina holds more rod cells, so light-sensitive cells, than green and blue color cone cells. Strepsirrhine lemurs, lorises, and galagos are dichromatic, just like a dog. Remember that in visual and olfactory adaptations, strepsirrhines are intermediate between non-primate mammals and haplorhine primates. In color perception, they are like most terrestrial mammals and perceive color in the green-blue spectrum. Haplorhine primate vision. So tarsiers, monkeys, apes, and humans have that retinal fovea that is densely packed with rod and cone cells. For most haplorhines, cones outnumber rods, but color perception has a broad range of expression. All catarrhines, Old World monkeys, apes, and humans, are trichromatic. They can perceive red coloration. Most platyrrhines, New World monkeys, are dichromatic. They are not sensitive to red. However, there are two exceptions in the platyrrhine group. One of these is the platyrrhine howler monkey. It is trichromatic. It can perceive red. And the other exception is that remarkable nocturnal platyrrhine owl monkey. It is completely monochromatic. It has no perception of color whatsoever. One genetic mutation caused catarrhine trichromacy. The first platyrrhines diverged from the common ancestor that they shared with catarrhines before that mutation occurred in catarrhines. Platyrrhine howler monkeys later underwent a separate mutation that allowed them to have red color perception. And what happened to those poor platyrrhine owl monkeys? Owl monkeys are the only nocturnal anthropoid, that is, a monkey, ape, or human. They have a haplotype retinal fovea, but selection for eye enlargement in the dark appears to have left them with only one type of visual cell, light-sensitive rods. They don't have any of the colored cones. As a result, owl monkeys are monochromatic, only sensitive to gray, black, white. Dogs have better color vision. And what about haplotype tarsiers? Are they colorblind? No, they are trichromatic. Tarsiers are the only nocturnal mammal with full color vision, and they have the largest relative eye size of all primates. A single tarsier eyeball is larger than its brain. And also you'll notice something else about tarsiers. The eyeball is so large that it cannot move around within the eye socket. So they have extreme range of motion in their heads and can turn their heads almost all the way to the back. Primate dietary behaviors. So we're switching gears now, and we're going to take a look at primate dietary category labels, and we'll be picking this up in the next lecture to finish it out. Primate dietary category labels refer to the primary food consumed. Faunivory, also known as insectivory, is mostly animal matter. That means invertebrates, insects, arachnids, etc., and vertebrates, small reptiles, etc., plus fruit, plus other. Folivory is mostly plant matter, foliage, plus fruit, plus other. Frugivory is mostly fruit, plus animal or plant matter for proteins, plus other. And omnivory is a variety of foods and always includes fruit. Keep in mind that fruit is eaten by 99% of primates. The tarsier is the only primate that has never been observed eating fruit in the wild. You already understand the vitamin C connection driving primate fruit consumption, scurvy risk. But let's take a closer look at primate foods. All primates need dietary vitamin C, carbohydrates for energy, and proteins. Animal foods. What are the pros? What are the cons? Well, the pros, animals are high in proteins and fats. Fats are pretty difficult to get in the wild. They're easy to digest, to assimilate, and they can be a great source of vitamin C. Cons, insects are small, all can move, and they have anti-predator defenses, stingers, and jaws that can bite, and they have negligible carbohydrates, so you need to get your carbohydrate from some other source. Faunivorous lorises use stereoscopic vision to spot their prey. Clinging in place with grasping feet, hands bring food to the face. And here we see a slender loris eating an insect. Faunivorous primates need to supplement their animal protein-based diet with carbohydrates from flowers and fruit also has vitamin C. Plant foods. What are the pros and cons of leaves? Well, they are high in proteins and fats, high in carbohydrates, and they are plentiful. Cons, they're hard to digest. They have that thick, rough cellulose. They have anti-predator defenses, believe it or not, toxins, secondary compounds like strychnine and arsenic, and they are negligible in vitamin C, so the diet has to be supplemented with vitamin C sources. Folivorous howler monkey red color sensitivity enhances toxin detection. Poisonous leaves tend to be red in coloration. Think of poison ivy or poison oak. We all know, stay away when they're red. Stay away in general, but particularly when they're red. Folivorous primates must supplement their plant protein-based diet with fruit. Their folivorous adaptations make it possible to digest unripened fruit other primates can't access. Fruit foods. What are the pros and what are the cons? Well, fruit is high in vitamin C and high in carbohydrate, and it does not move. What are the cons? It's low in protein, it's unsteady in supply, it has a tough exterior, that tough outer skin, and there is a lot of competition for fruit in the rainforest. Everybody wants fruit. Old World monkey trichromatic vision enhances fruit procurement. Notice how those red fruits wouldn't show up if they didn't have red sensitivity? Extra sensitive fingers are used to peel the exocarp, that's the skin on the fruit, and bring fruit to the mouth for consumption. Frugivorous primates get plenty of vitamin C and carbohydrate, but they must supplement their fruit-based diets with protein foods. So the larger-bodied primates that eat fruits supplement their diet with foliage for protein, and the smaller-bodied ones, like the pygmy marmoset over on the right, get their proteins from animal matter. Omnivorous foods. Pros: nutritional balance, should have enough of everything. Cons: you must make use of every calorie in the habitat. This requires learning and experience, and extra brain power doesn't hurt. Obligate omnivores live in marginalized habitats with little fruit, which is their preferred food. Baboons fall into this group, as do vervets, some macaques, some langur monkeys, and patus monkeys. All of these old world monkeys would prefer to have a higher fruit content in their diet, but they live in places where fruit isn't readily available. I love this image of this olive baboon. It's eating a fruit from the aptly named sausage tree. That is a sausage tree fruit. Conspicuous omnivores choose variety. They love fruit, but live in habitats holding a variety of great foods. Conspicuous omnivores include chimpanzees, lowland gorillas, many macaques, capuchin monkeys of the New World, and humans. If you doubt that we are conspicuous omnivores, go to Whole Foods and watch the humans as they move through the food items. They like a little bit of this, a lot of that, more of this, more of that. They love variety, as do our chimpanzee cousins. Primate dietary distribution. Most primates, about 52%, are frugivores, and they must supplement their diets with animal or plant proteins. The large ones, or the little ones, go with animal proteins, and the large ones go with plant proteins. Many primates, about 23%, are folivores, and they must supplement their diets with vitamin C foods such as fruit. Some primates, about 16%, are faunivores and must also consume fruit for carbohydrates and vitamin C. And very few primates, at most 9%, are omnivores. Of these, most fall into the obligate, not the conspicuous omnivore category. In other words, they'd rather eat more fruit, but it's not available where they live. Now you are ready for Lecture 6, Presentation 3.